Hello, everyone. So I am going to read on, well, I've had several questions about Peter Thiel and, planetier, yeah, technologies. I'm going to read on that separately. This one is going to focus on Peter Thiel and his connection, whether or not there's any connection with Epstein. And I'm having to use the Kipper because both men are of air signs. Epps was an Aquarian, and Peter Thiel is a Libra. So they both would be the same card, the King of Swords. Knight of Swords if they were younger, but no. So my question is there was there an Epstein connection and slave labor traffickers? Actually, you know what? Maybe I could combine the planetary technologies. No, I better not, because I want to establish something else first. I'll do that separately. I was thinking I could, just because we would have the right cards. So that's what this deck is so good for. We have cards for slavery, automation, AI. All kinds of stuff in here. So what is the truth? What is the absolute truth about Peter Thiel, and whether or not, did he have a connection with Epstein? Or if not, is Peter Thiel into slave labor? Slave labor? Slave labor? Yeah, it's Mercury retrograde. Is he into human trafficking and slavery? What's the dude up to? I know he's coming into a second Saturn return, and he's really not figuring out a way to work it very well, because that's a very karmic transit. Okay, so at the heart of the reading, there's change, coming and go, lots of coming and going. All right. Coming and going from, well, let's just wait. Let me look at the other cards. Well, okay, so here's our card for the slave labor. And who he was in partnership with. And this might be in relationship with his husband. But didn't he have an ex or something, or a boyfriend on the side? Now, this would be my Jeffrey Epstein card. If his card comes through, it'll be the main male. I forgot to tell you that was my intention. But didn't this dude have someone on the side that fell off a balcony or something? Tell me if I'm wrong about that. Maybe I'm remembering someone else. Well, so definitely here's Epstein, because he's no longer alive. Some people think he is, but I don't. I just think he's in such a hell realm. He's not going to cross over to the light. He's not going to decide that. Yeah, okay. But what's the deal with Peter Thiel? What has he done in the past? Oh boy. Okay. Yeah. So it's I wonder if I should move these over and do one more and see if I can get. Yeah, I think I should, and get the. Look at his future. Let's get his future, because the past equals the future, right? Decisions and consequences and all of that. Oops, still kind of. I can't make my camera straighter, so I have to adjust it this way. So crazy. All right. Because we've got, something there. Yeah. Oh, God. Oh, I'm so glad I did. Okay, whether these fit. Actually, here, I'll just come up a little bit. There we are. Now, this makes it harder to see the artwork, but it's okay. I'll talk you through it. Okay, so, boy, there's quite a bit here. Okay, at the heart of the reading, and still his card did not come through, but the whole reading is about him. So he's made a lot of money out of, or from, off of people who couldn't, people who are like, the slave labor trafficking in and out of other people's homes. And if he had a connection to Epstein, he was in on the action. There's the money right here. He was in on getting a piece of the, a percentage or something. He was helpful that way until it ended, of course. But yeah, the money and the coming and the going of the favors and the money, it's like he was married to, he was in partnership with Epstein. And he preyed off of the community of people who just couldn't really fend for themselves. That's over here too. We've got all the cards here for being part of the transnational money laundering crime ring and the human trafficking right here. These two uniting together, the movement of people who can't fend for themselves, the vulnerable, people who've been taken and trafficked. And there's evidence. Okay, wow. So that's at the heart of the reading. Over time, it could be 6 months to 2 years, but over time, he's going to have a very painful loss because evidence is going to come out about all of that. And it may come through the releasing, like the end and the release of the Epstein files finally at some point, because we've got a trial over here. So, okay, but his relationship with Epstein is here, and it was also with a group of people who, those secrets are going to come out. There are complaints already. There's they're looking into it already. There's an investigation already. And the more they look into it, the more concern and, obsession and discouraged, he's more insecure he's going to get. Because, we've got rules and regulations. This guy was born in Germany. He's, I don't know if he's actually a citizen. I didn't look into him for too long because he's just so creepy, but was mostly looking at his, there's no birth time for him, but we do have, the planets are where they are. And, he's got that moon in late degree Capricorn and that in Saturn's at 8 degrees of Aries. Right now, I think it's at about 1. And, and so Saturn's going to move over. He's going to have his Saturn return pretty soon. And his north node's up there in Aries too. So when Saturn crosses over, when he has his Saturn return and then Saturn keeps going and hits his north node, that would be about this timing here. things could come full circle for him. Yeah, wow. Okay, so opening up the reading, though, the investigation will cause health problems for him, but also, when it comes to this card, this can also be a card that has to do with just like quickie sex, not like a loving kind of relationship or partnership, but just that, sex for sex kind of thing. And I think he might be a little obsessive about that, which is like creepy. But here's an investigation knighting to a subpoena. And there's a woman who holds his secrets, who may have a pretty good reputation. Now, this could also be a female judge that has a good reputation that gives him the subpoena. The four corners tell me, well, even just framing in all of the corners, if I go all the way around, is that he has enemies and rivals, and he's close to danger a lot of the time, and I think he gets off on it, like he's sick that way. And I don't know if this would be the judge that finds out about it, or another woman that knows about his secrets and maybe gives testimony. It could also be that. But anyway, to get back to these cards here, the despair card it's a card of major stress and nightmares and hangovers and serious inner problems and a lot of self-sabotage, self-destruction. And there are legal demands made on him that he can't get out of, and it is going to affect his health. And I would say definitely his mental health right here. This whole side is framing that in. And he has enemies too. And you can look at this card too, kind of, think in terms of like that movie Eyes Wide Shut. Who's the guy in the background watching? Like, what's all that about? Creepy. Like a Jim Jordan card there. So then over here on this side, so this is the past, but this could actually be, in the future. Or maybe there's something going on that we don't know legally about investigations against him. With that planetary technologies, wouldn't they be in charge of a lot of server farms that are really, really, really bad on the environment? If you don't work it the right way, and I don't know very many of them that do. And why would these guys, when they're into slave labor and trafficking, human trafficking? Because over here, it's official that he's had a strategy that was a part of Epstein's strategy. He learned from him. Maybe Epstein was a mentor to him. And he learns a lot, and he thinks about that, method, or the way that he did things. And they did things together. And things in the future will come full circle. This is like a spiritual, it's not spiritual on his, with his intention, but this is a soul journey that it's going to come full circle, and it's about him stealing. There's going to be, I would think at some point, either a lot of important discovery here or a trial. Usually the courthouse is a judicial, like the whole judicial process, there's a trial. You've got investigation over here that leads to a trial. At the very least, complaints about the health risks of things that he's doing. This card could relate to server farms right here, because servers are like those big blocks of something. And it could also be things, evidence that are on cell phones. I often use this card with the Lennies. I'll use or see that happen, see that come through. Same kind of card. But either way, it's official. He's going to go through a painful loss because there is evidence. And it's going to come from his people that have worked for him within the judicial process, like somebody being deposed or coming forward as a whistleblower. And it is worldwide. Here we have the human trafficking from different countries, the movement of people. And they go back and forth in between rich people's homes, you know, the big mansions, and they do the toil and labor and whatever else for money, the quickies that, you know. And and he's guilty. He's really guilty about it. This is our major guilt card here. Creepy. Yeah. People trafficked, and he was in partnership with Epstein. And it went on for a long time, but in the next couple years or less, there probably will be evidence that comes out. So this tells me, you know what, on another level, without asking that question, this reading tells me that the Epstein files and videos and they had tons of servers and computers that they retrieved from, what was that island? Was it just called Epstein Island? But I thought it was called something else too. And that all that data, that information, the videos, the whatever, it's not just like a black book. That was just like a contact list. But there are files, major, a lot of, like a huge amount of files. And Peter Thiel is thinking about this all the time because he knows it can end him. And there are people, especially, I don't know who, well, it could be just this one woman. It's interesting. There are 6 people cards in the deck and only 2 came through. You know, like if I don't have very many left. Here's a young woman. Here's Peter Thiel's. Yeah, he's looking at legal issues, or maybe this is his husband. Yeah, and then we have the little child and all that. So, but we got what we needed right here. So I'm going to go ahead and get this uploaded, and happy Sunday. I hope you guys are having a really good weekend, and be back later. Bye.